I grabbed a bunch of these colorful glass gems from the dollar store and found an old side table to upcycle. The first thing I did was to remove the top and give it a good clean. Then I applied a coat of white paint, let it dry, gave it a light sanding and added another coat. Next, I marked the center, then drew 90-degree radial lines from the center to divide it into 4 equal quadrants. I applied glue on one section of the tabletop and started arranging the gems in one quadrant. Then mirrored the pattern on the opposite side to keep it symmetrical. I kept repeating this until the entire top was covered in gems. After letting the glue dry completely, it was time for the epoxy. Before that, I added duct tape around the round top to create an edge for our epoxy pour. Also added some glitter to the mixture. Once mixed, I started pouring the epoxy across the surface, making sure to cover all the gaps between the gems. I poured the remaining clear epoxy on top and popped the bubble and let it cure for 48 hours, keeping the table in a dust-free environment. After it's fully cured, gave the edges a light sanding to smoothen it out, the finished top to the leg.
I saw these gems at the dollar store. To start this project, I need to get the old window ready. Some white paint will do the trick to lighten up this dark frame. Now that the paint is dry, I want to give the edges a little distressing, and it's time to start adding the clear gems. Now that I have the first layer of clear gems down, I want to use these beautiful blue and purple ones. I'm using a clear silicone adhesive to stick the gems in place.
Grab a few bags of colored gems from your local Dollar Tree. Then place a sheet of parchment paper onto a cookie sheet and pour out all the gems onto it. Make sure they are all in an even layer. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees and place the gems inside for about 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes are up, pour all the gems directly into the ice water bath. You will hear them start to crackle and break. Let them sit for 5 minutes and then drain the water out into the sink. Now grab your plain picture frame and start gluing your crackled gems onto it. I use B7000 glue for this because it allows for some wiggle room before completely drying, unlike hot glue.
Grab some marbles from the Dollar Tree. Use a foil pie pan and line or cover the inside with parchment paper. Next, fill a bowl with concrete mix, add water, and stir until everything is combined. Then pour the concrete mix into the lined foil pan and continue to add concrete mix until you get the height that you want. Then start adding and placing marbles and colorful tiles on top of the concrete mix. Allow the stone to set and remove the parchment paper.
Headed down to my local Dollar Tree. I'm going to start with these glass beads. I'm going to also head over and get some rubbing alcohol. Next, I grabbed this bowl, got it from Home Depot. I'm going to grab some sand, start putting it in the bottom. So you want to fill it up to where when you get your bowl, you're going to kind of be level with the top and it has a firm foundation. Let's go ahead and start putting some more sand in so that it holds it in place to level it out. Make sure that bowl is firm. We don't want any spillage or that thing moving when we light it up. Go ahead and put the metal bowl in and then remember those glass beads and start placing them all the way around. Take that rubbing alcohol and pour a little bit in there. Give it a little bit of a flame and it's gonna light right up.
So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of those vase filler gems. After sorting them, I washed them off using Blue Dawn and water and then laid them out to dry. I drew lines from the edge of the vanity to meet the mirror line. I applied a thin coat of mastic using a small notched trowel. Then the fun began as I pressed the gems into the mastic. I worked in small sections so the mastic wouldn't dry too quickly. Once I was done, I mixed the grout. I mixed 1 cup of grout to a half a cup of water. I applied the grout in small sections, making sure I was pushing it between each of the gems. I wanted to make sure that every spot was filled in between them. After 1 hour, I checked again, and yep, it was nice and dry. Using a large spun and plain water, I washed away all of the excess grout. I removed the painter's tape that I had placed on the top of the vanity and applied caulk, smoothing it out with my finger.
So I grabbed an old window at a rummage sale, I cleaned it up, and now I'm just adding a coat of white paint. When the paint dries, you can just go back with a razor blade and scrape off any that's left on the glass. Now I'm gonna grab these little gems. I have them in blue, red, white, and clear. I'm using a really strong glue to attach these marbles to the glass. This is E6000. It's gonna hold these on here super well.
For this project, you're going to want to run over to your local dollar store and grab some glass gems. I painted the board a little bit of a white wash on the back just so it gives a good color for the backing. Now this all-purpose glue is perfect. All you got to do is lay it down, take the mirror after you got a few marks to center it, and place it on the board. Using the same all-purpose glue and a popsicle stick, and you're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back. Just slide them into place. You'll want to use non-sanded grout. Put your water in and start stirring it. Once you get it mixed pretty good, add your choice of paint color. Keep pushing it on there and get in between every glass gem. Once you got it down, grab your sponge, squeeze it out, not too damp, and you're just going to start wiping the top.
So I've already preheated the oven to 350, and we're gonna go ahead and bake these for about 20 minutes. Go ahead and fill up a pan or a bowl with ice and water. And dump these in here, and you can hear it. They pretty much immediately just fracture, and they're now ready to use. First, I'm gonna start by placing my glass pieces where I want them. I'm using Mixed Media Girl Artist Resin, and I actually want to pour this over my stones here. I'm gonna start off with white paste. I'm gonna spread it out a bit with my finger. I'm gonna get in here with the white metallic, and I'm gonna get in here with the pearl. A little more of just that flat white. So I'm gonna take some of this gold, and I'm gonna use my stick, and I'm gonna make these thinner lines. The last thing we need to do is take a torch and get rid of the air bubbles. Then we're gonna leave this cure.
So I went to the dollar store and bought 35 bags of gems. They were really dusty, so I removed them from their little bags and washed them with mild soap and water. After washing them, I laid them out on a towel to dry. Several months ago, I completed a backsplash in my bathroom above the sink. People commenting on that post asked for the entire wall to be covered with gems. So here you go. I began by drawing a level line a little higher than the backsplash. Then I measured the height of that line from the floor and made marks on the wall and connected the line. Another comment on that original backsplash post was that I didn't create a pattern on the wall. So on this one, I decided to draw some seaweed. After the pattern was drawn, I began to apply mastic inside the seaweed lines, filling them in with the different sizes of green gems. I worked on small sections of the wall at a time, working my way up the wall. Once I got to where I had put the original backsplash, I added the mastic and continued with the 3 different colors of gems. It was a little hard working around the toilet, but hey, with my skinny fingers, I made it work. I really liked using the different sizes of the green inside the seaweed. I think it gave it more of a texture and a really interesting look. When I finished applying the gems to the wall, I measured and cut a piece of chair rail and then fastened that to the wall with a brad nailer. I then took mastic and filled in the gap and then added more gems. I mixed my grout until it was the consistency of mashed potatoes. I applied the grout to the wall using a putty knife. And working in small sections, I added the grout and then removed the excess with a wet sponge.